Okay, I'm going to jump in just to offer some my observation on the belonging issue as we talk about how do you belonging without losing yourself. Uh, I actually see there are two different generations that different. Like see in my own experiences, first generation came to this country, um, we're Chinese first and then becoming American. That's what I feel like the process. So what's inside you is always that final uh, question you ask yourself. At first, I always feel these two seems like contradictory. If you maintain your Chinese identity, you'll become American. Whether you become American, then you'll betray your old countries. Whether you only later, after being here a long time, I understand this country better. I realize actually that's not a contradictory. The two are not mutually exclusive because American is a country that consists of immigrants that come all over the country, all over the world. Everyone, can come here. You can still maintain your own cultural heritage, but you can also become American because it is a place you're not. Americans not defined. Your identity is not defined by your heritage or where the country of origin, or color of skin, or your culture, your religion. It's really this basic concept. Are all men created equal? We come here, we have the fundamental right, and we're under the same constitution. So to be American, you only have to be loyal to the constitution and believe in American spirit. That's not losing your own identity. So that's from first generation, my own experiences. It took a while for me to go through that internal journey to understand it. But turn around, I'm looking for my children. They're all born here and grown up here. And I found they're American first. At a certain stage, they actually don't even want to. Well, we live in a community that I would say 99 or 95%, 99 plus percentage of in the suburban or white. So when my children went to school, you probably don't see much of other Asian Americans kids, and not mention just Chinese. Very few. In our whole community, we were the only Chinese American family when this community was built. Later now we have more, but at the time, 20 some years ago, we were the only one. So our children growing up, they just feel themselves Americans. They just fit in whatever they do. And however, I found that the other side is later when they grow up, they begin to realize the difference. Like my daughter, growing up in Pittsburgh, most of her friends are blonde and blue eyes, and those are throughout her school. When she went to California, attending University of Southern California, and then all of a sudden she found there's a 40% of student body are Asian. So that's where she actually opened. I said, oh, wow, there's a difference. And then she began to learn, she began to feel maybe sitting like you, she feel there's Asian ways of do things, and she never really feel that way before. But what's interesting is so they feel themselves Americans always, right? And then at a certain point, they begin to looking back, try to find their own Chinese heritage. Even though, yes, we do take them to Chinese event and, spring festivals and go to Chinese schools and everything else. But that didn't really make strong impression. Only when they begin to realize, usually, as I noted in their early 20s, they start to always realize, and then they come back, try to learn about actually consciously try to learn about their culture. And one particular incident that struck me is in 2021, that's really right after, when COVID still there, just right up, just about the end of COVID. My daughter participated was one of the lead actresses in the movie. It's called Love in Taipei. So what happened there? They have to go to Taipei to on site to shoot for 3 months. So before the movies in English, so it's not, that's all in English. But she began to really anxious talking to her mother, talking to me, and about the culture, about heritage, about language, and everything else. And we have some relatives in Taiwan, so we introduced her to the relatives. Said, she will be there shooting a movie, and then they get together. But the response I got later from my relative was really interesting, because they had dinner with her. She was invited with a whole room full of Chinese friends and relatives. And my relative later comment on her, say they were impressed that even though her Chinese wasn't perfect, she had some basic conversation, but she said throughout the whole dinner, she tried very hard just to use Chinese language to communicate with all the relatives and friends, especially she know not everybody there, understand English. But that struck me as really interesting experiences, right? And that's the second generation. They are very much Americans. They feel everything they do. But they also now coming back, begin to treasure and value their Asian American heritage. So that tells me this is the identity, you're belonging, where you're belonging. But I thought the balance is, yes, we're Americans, but American is ideal. It's a place we come here for that ideal, for that constitution. And because of that, the beauty of American is you can, of course, treasure and value whatever heritage you have and feel proud about them. At the same time, you can still be a good American. Nothing wrong with that. Those two are not mutually exclusive, actually not even contradictory. So I thought that's the kind of my observation, and that's how I resolve my own internal conflict at first, I feel. So I think now we want to see the next generation, the future generation, treasure their heritage, Chinese American, Asian American, whatever heritage, at the same time, just be America. That's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing contradictory to. They can still treasure, inherit their culture, and this is Americans. It's all about. So that's kind of my thought on this subject. So I feel we can certainly belong without losing our own identity. Thank you.